Welcome to Paint a Beautiful Picture. Today we're going to talk about nurturing wonder in your child. I love it when I'm in school, and I especially 3 and 4-year-olds, and you'll say, "Do you know that every single star up in the heavens has its own name?" And kids will be like, "That's awesome." You really see that wonder in their face. You show them for the first time what a cell looks like underneath of a microscope, and they see, especially I really like to show them living cells. They get to see those things moving around in there, and you just see this look of awesome wonder come across their face. By the time kids are 8, 10, 12 years old, they're kind of jaded. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's amazing how quick they're over a lot of stuff. And I hate to say this to you, but I've experienced it too many hundreds of times not to tell it to you straight. A kid who's always got a electronic something in his hand, whether it's his mom or dad's phone or an iPad or some kind of a tablet or a small computer, if all he's ever doing is sitting in front of a screen of some kind, watching all this wildly crazy animated stuff go on in front of him or all these wild colors and crazy sounds, yeah, he may not be very impressed by much, except for something that's electronic. And so, I want to talk to you about nurturing wonder in your child. First of all, the most wonderful thing to any little kid, including and most especially babies, is the human face. A baby is born with an affinity for their moms and dads' faces and their moms and dads' voices. So if you're always on your tablet or your phone or your whatever and you're this, and you're not face to face with your child, they start to lose value. And it even affects, as I've shared with you, their ability to speak, the kind of vocabulary they have, the kind of articulateness that they will have, the development of their mind, their thought processes and ideas and creativity. Even some of their physical motor control is affected if someone isn't spending face to face time with them. And so the first thing you need to do is to nurture that wonder of human communication because they can already understand lots of simple commands by 3 to 4 months old, even though they may not be able to respond correctly because they don't have full motor control yet and they don't have language to answer you back. But you know what? They understand. They really do. It's amazing. And so you need to have that. You need to nurture wonder, the wonder of communication and the wonder of relationship by talking consistently, regularly, and very truthfully, intelligently to your child. If you're just like goo goo gaga blah 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 to that kid because that's all they've got, they don't know that you're smarter than them. You need to talk to them, preferably most of the time without baby talk. And you need to explain to them what you're doing, what you're feeling, what's going on in the world, that you love them, that you care about them, that they're amazing, that you love their little blue eyes, that their little brown eyes are so gorgeous, that they remind you about chocolate. Oh, chocolate is really good stuff. Wait till you get to eat some. You're a little bit small now, but oh, in a couple months, I'll make you some chocolate chip cookies and you'll find out the stuff is out of this world. You talk to that baby. You talk to that baby with enthusiasm and excitement about life. By the time you're talking to a 2 to 4-year-old, you better be all the time discussing things of wonder with them. You talk to them about how wonderful it is to go outdoors and enjoy the sunshine and enjoy the fresh air and enjoy all the trees and take a walk in the woods and roll in the grass, roll down the hill in the grass. Oh my word, I used to love to do that with my kids at a place called Big Hill Park in Wisconsin. We'd go there and we would just roll down the hill. Go roll up your pant legs and go into the water and feel the squishy stuff under your feet in the river or along the side of the lake or in the creek bed and notice the rocks in the creek bed. What color are they? Because some of them are pink and some of them are gray, but boy, you put them in a stone polisher and you suddenly have something entirely different. There are so many wonderful things to do with a child in relationship to nature. Help them to understand the wonder of nature. Help them to understand the wonder of the inner world. First, I'm going to talk about the inner world physically. And so you get them books that show them things about anatomy. Well, of course, I was a nurse, but long before that, when my kids were really little, like 10 or 12 years before I was a nurse, I had a book about the human body that showed my kids things like bones and muscles and various tissues and the cellular shapes of certain kinds of tissues and how they behaved, and things like all the systems in the body, from the integumentary system, your skin, what it does, how it protects you, how it gives you something that is containing all of the rest of you, all the way down to your circulatory system, how your heart would pump and push the blood around and bring oxygen to all of those tissues, and how clear down to your toes and clear down to your fingertips, all the little veins and arteries and capillaries would provide your cellular structures with everything that it needed, because it would come through the heart and get pumped out into the body to all of the cells. So you need to teach your child the wonder, the intricacies of his or her own amazing body. Then you need to teach them the wonder of their inner selves, how their mind works, how their emotions work, how their spirit works, and of course, in the broader sense, how their body works. In other words, they are an amazing human being. It is really wonderful the way that God created us as human beings. Like, we are amazing. We are really complex. And each one of us, as a unique individual, is a wonder to learn about and discover. And so, as someone that you love, you want to learn and discover about your child, about his or her thoughts and his or her ideas and his or her perceptions of things, and they want to hear about yours because they really love you, and you're the biggest part of their entire whole wide world. And so you share the wonder of the intricacies of our own selves as human beings, and as someone that we can appreciate and admire and spend time with and be really excited about. You help them, you nurture the wonder of the inner person. You want to nurture the wonder of great inventions or great constructions. Uh, I took my kids to Mackinac Island so they could see Mackinac Bridge. It was really amazing. When I took my kids overseas, I always tried to take them to see, the greatest parts of certain countries or of certain regions. Allow your kids to have exposure and nurture in them the wonder of beauty and magnificence and of people's creativity. I took my kids to the Henry Ford Museum and to Greenfield Village, which is in Dearborn, Michigan. I allowed my kids to see lots of amazing things that inventors in the United States of America had developed and come up with, that really fostered the Industrial Revolution and made it possible for people's lives to become so much more simple, and for them to save a lot of time because they had all these great inventions to make use of. Help your kids develop the wonder of great inventions and of other people's creativity and of the beauty of buildings. Oh my goodness, I took my kids to downtown Chicago, and even when I went to New York City, all of these beautiful buildings and the work that was done on them, especially back anywhere from about maybe 1860 to about 1920. Buildings were works of art. They just had the most amazing construction. Let your kids see those things and nurture and develop in your child the wonder of creativity and invention. Help your kids to develop the wonder of animals. I had, while my grandchildren were young, for about 12 years actually, a membership to a couple of different zoos. I lived in Indiana, they lived in Metro Detroit, so I had one to the Detroit Zoo and I had one to the Indianapolis Zoo. And we would go to the zoo usually once a month, because various animals would have their babies and different animals respond to different times of the year differently. Just, I wanted them to see all kinds of things. I took my one grandson on a camel ride, which was really cool, And I took them both on an elephant ride one time. So they got to go close to that and they got to pet the elephant, they got to touch the camel. Just expose your kids as much as you possibly can to various kinds of animals. That would probably include things like going to SeaWorld or going to Bush Park. There are a lot of places in the United States of America that you can go and expose your kids to kinds of animals, including native animals if possible: buffalo, foxes, coyotes, wolves, wolverines, badgers. We used to go to lots of nature centers, and also things like, I'll use the word insects, but really Lepidoptera when you're talking about butterflies. But nonetheless, let them go and see everything you can think of to see so that they develop this sense of wonder in the world. Because you know what? We do really live in a wonderful world. We live in a world that is full of beauty. And in spite of all the news and the terrible things that people might do, the world is a wonderful place. You need to nurture that sense of wonder in your child. Let me tell you one of the wonders that I think that we often leave off, and that is the wonder of personal interrelationships. I used to tell my sons, you are so blessed because you have your brother. Some people are only children. They would do anything if they had a brother or a sister. And so you need to appreciate your brother. It was great because my sons were nothing like each other. I have one son who's very outgoing, one son who's naturally a lot more reticent and shy, one son who is really talkative, one son who is quiet, one son who is a lot more athletic, one son who was not, one son who is really enthusiastic, and one son who is kind of like Eeyore, you know. And I said to them, you need to appreciate what is great and different in your brother, because in life, you're going to run into people who are a lot different than you, and you should appreciate them and love them for who they are. And actually, it will make your life richer and fuller when you have people in your world who aren't just the same as you are. We know that because culturally and interculturally, we have certainly gone a lot of places, both of my sons and me. And we know that the more people you know and people who are vastly different than yourselves, who are your friends, it really enriches and makes your life fuller. So teach your children the wonder of interpersonal relationships. Don't try to give them a homogeneous set of friends that are just like you, in the same economic status and the same racial, demographic, and the same everything. Oh my gracious. Take your kids somewhere else, do something different, facilitate the wonder of getting to know people and appreciating different cultures. Even if that means things like going to the Greek festival downtown and eating food that's kind of strange and seeing people in their native costume, or going to the Polish festival. Depending on where you live, in certain parts of the country, there are huge festivals, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times a year, of different ethnic groups or for different reasons. Take your kids to as many of those as you possibly can. Develop for your children the sense of the wonder of the world and the different cultures and the different peoples of the world and the beauty of international and wonderful interpersonal relationships. And so I really want you to nurture wonder in your child. I'm going to give you one more area, and that is simple scientific experiments. To most kids, the first time they ever see vinegar and baking soda together and this like huge eruption, which so many kids use as the basis of their volcanic science projects, kids love this kind of stuff. Or when you take an egg and get it to drop through a space that it never would because of a candle and the exhaust from it when you blow it out, and it will pull the egg down into that smaller space than it should have fit. Just teach your kids the wonders of this world. Nurture that in their life. Make their life more interesting, more creative, more beautiful, and definitely richer in their inner world. So today I want to ask you, how am I doing at nurturing wonder in my child's life? If you're not doing great, Start today, start tomorrow. It's not that hard to do. Go to the library, get one good book, start reading it. It will start to develop that wonder in your child's life. Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.